There is a fear that doesn't feel like fear. It feels like caution, like preparation, like being sensible about your limits. You have a thing that you want to do, a thing that you're good at, a thing that might actually work. And right next to the excitement, there's a voice. And it's not the voice that says that you're going to fail. And it's not that voice that's loud and obvious. This is a quieter voice. The one that says, if this works, they will see you. And if they see you, they will talk. So today I want to talk about the fear of being seen succeeding. Not the fear of failure, and not the fear of being good enough. The fear that people who knew you when you were small will watch you become visible and will find the reason why you don't deserve it. The imposter syndrome that isn't about your ability, it's about your audience. The old contract that said, stay safe, stay small, stay someone they don't need to think about. And the new risk that says, if you step out, you become a target for the exact people you spent years trying to disappear around. Now I know this machinery, I've lived it, but this isn't my story, this is yours. This is the one where you have something to offer, and you're not offering it because offering it means they might watch. And if they watch, they might talk. And if they talk, you might have to feel it all over again. You might not even know who they are. Not specifically and not always. Sometimes it's the old workplace, the people who made fun of you, the ones who found you funny because you were available to be found funny. Sometimes it's the family, the ones who knew you when you were struggling, the ones who have had a story about you that they need to stay true. Sometimes it's the old friends, the ones who saw you mess up, the ones who were there for you for the version of you that didn't have all of this act together. And sometimes it's not even people you know. It's the imaginary audience, the comment section you haven't read yet, the group chat that you're not in, the conversation happening in a room you'll never enter, the third-party target. You don't need to hear them, you just need to believe that they exist. And the script is very good at making you believe. The script says, if you put yourself out there, they will find the gap between who you are and who you're claiming to be. They'll say, how can he be a life coach when his life is all over the place? They will say, how can she talk about confidence when she's still in debt? They will say, how can they claim expertise when I saw them fall apart? And the worst part is, you might already be saying this stuff to yourself. The script borrows their voice before they even open their mouths. Imposter syndrome is usually described as an internal problem, that you don't believe in yourself, that you don't feel qualified, that you don't trust your own competence. But for some of us, imposter syndrome is external. It's not that we don't believe in ourselves, it's that we believe in the people who don't believe in us. We carry their opinions like evidence. We rehearse their arguments like preparation. We let their projected voice become the narrator of our own story. And the result is exactly the same. You don't start the channel. You don't write the book. You don't apply for the role. You don't claim the expertise you actually have. And it's not because you can't do it. It's because if you actually do it, it means they might see you. And if they see you, they might confirm what you secretly fear. That you're a fraud who got lucky. Even when you're not in debt, even when your life is together, even when you know your material better than anybody else. The script doesn't care about reality. The script cares about protection. And protection for the script means invisibility. Now, this is what System 1 was built to do. Protecting the child who learnt that being seen meant being judged. Protecting the person that learned that rising above your place meant someone would pull you back in. The old contracts say stay small, stay safe, stay someone they don't need to think about. But the new risk is visibility means vulnerability to an audience that you didn't actually choose. And what about System 2? Well, System 2 knows the truth. System 2 knows that you're capable. And System 2 knows the work is real. But System 2 doesn't control the fear. System 2 creates the gap where the fear can be seen without being obeyed. For some of us, the invisible audience started at home. Not with malice, not with cruelty, but with conditioning. The hold they had, the expectations, the unspoken contract that said, don't fail, don't disappoint, and don't rise above what we can handle. The don't fail message wasn't about the task, it was about the relationship. If you failed, you let them down, and if you let them down, the love wobbled. If the love wobbled, you were unsafe. So what you learned was, if I don't give 100%, then that is not acceptable. 100% is the absolute minimum. Not because the work demanded it, but the bond demanded it. And that wiring doesn't stay within our childhood. It maps onto every audience, every workplace, every room where someone might have an opinion. The workplace people become the new parents. The imaginary comment section becomes the new family dinner. The fear of letting down strangers becomes the fear of letting down people who actually mattered. The script borrows the old voice and applies it to a new situation. And you don't even know it's happening. You just feel the resistance, hesitation. They're not starting, they're not claiming, they're not being visible. And you call it caution. I want you to do something. Think about the person you were 10 years ago, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. The version of you that was struggling, that didn't have the language, that didn't know the machinery, that was just trying to get through. Now imagine telling that person where you're at now, the work you're putting out, the voice that you're finding, the presence that you're building. Would they believe you? I know mine wouldn't. If I told my 20-year-old self that I'd be doing this, sharing this message, building this channel, being this visible, he would just laugh or he would just completely panic. Or I'd probably find a reason why it just couldn't be real. Because the 20-year-old self was still living under the contract, still believing the invisible audience, still letting the script narrate what was possible. And that is the evidence. Not that I've made it, not that I'm that special, not that I've transcended into the fear. The evidence is that the script was wrong. The script said, stay small, stay safe, don't be seen. The script said, if they see you, they'll confirm your fraudulence. The script said, the old audience is still watching, still judging, still holding the story that keeps you in place. And that 20-year-old believed it. But some of you aren't 20 anymore. You're here, you're building, you're visible. And the old audience, if they exist, if they're watching, if they're talking, it's not in charge of your life. They never were. I want to be honest about something. This isn't all in your head. The fear is real. The invisible audience is real in its effect. The imposter syndrome is real in its grip. But your body's also real. Your back hurts, your energy's low. The job you've been putting off is still there. And it's not getting smaller. And all of the script will use this. The script will say you can't start the task because your back is bad. You can't claim expertise because your house isn't sorted. You can't be visible because your life isn't perfect. The script will take real constraints and turn them into moral evidence. Not, my back hurts, so I need to rest. But instead, my back hurts, so I'm not legitimate. Not, I have deferred jobs, so I need to prioritise. But I have deferred jobs, so I'm a fraud. The script doesn't care about your body. The The script cares about your invisibility, and it will use anything, pain, debt, imperfection, exhaustion, to keep you from being seen. Because being seen is the only thing that proves the script wrong. Now here's what I know about my back. It hurts. It makes some things harder. It slows me down. But it doesn't make me illegitimate. It doesn't erase the work I've done. It doesn't cancel the message. It doesn't mean I'm not allowed to speak. It just means I need to manage my energy. I need to do the jobs I've been putting off. I need to take care of my body while I build the thing. The building and the body are not in competition. They're in the same life. So how do you use this when this video ends? When you feel the hesitation before starting? Don't ask if you're good enough. Ask whose voice is this? Is this yours? Or is it the invisible audience? Is it System 2 seeing reality? Or is it System 1 protecting the child who learned that visibility meant judgment? When you imagine them talking, let them talk. You don't control the group chat. You don't control the family dinner. You don't control the workplace conversation you'll never hear. You control whether their projected voice becomes your actual narrator. When the imposter syndrome flares, name it. Not, I feel like a fraud. I feel like the old audience is watching. I feel like the parental hold is activating. I feel like the script is borrowing a voice that isn't mine. When your body hurts or your life isn't perfect, let it be data, not evidence of illegitimacy. The pain is real. The imperfection is real. None of it cancels your expertise. None of it removes your right to speak. When you worry about your future, ask your 20-year-old self, would they believe where you are? Would they see the gap between what the script predicted and what you're actually building? Let that gap be your evidence. When you feel the relief of invisibility, notice it. The relief is real. Invisibility was safe. But safety and growth don't live in the same room. You can honour the relief without obeying it. The invisible audience is not your enemy. They're not your plot, they're not your problem. They're just people who knew you when you were smaller and who need you to stay that size so their story doesn't have to change. And you can't change their story. You can only change yours. The fear of being seen succeeding is the last defense of the old contract. The contract that said, stay small, stay safe, stay someone that they don't need to think about. The contract that said, if you rise, someone will pull you back. The contract that said your legitimacy depends on their approval. None of it was true. It was just wiring, conditioning, the machinery of a child who learned that love was conditional on performance, who still believes that visibility is vulnerability. The real you, the one who has something to offer, who you were and who you're becoming, that you is enough. More than enough. That you is the only you that anyone can actually meet. The invisible audience doesn't get a vote. The old workplace doesn't get a veto. The family hold doesn't get to narrate. The imaginary comment section doesn't get to decide. You decide by starting, by being seen, by letting the work speak, and by knowing that the 20-year-old self, the one who believed the script, the one who believed the contract, who believed the fear, would be proud. Not because you proved them wrong, because you proved yourself possible. If you felt the invisible audience watching, even for a moment, even in a room by yourself, let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to learn whose voice you're learning to give back. And if this hits something for you, you can find me on my socials, Craig Lewis Life Coach. Like this video, share it with someone who is learning to be seen. And remember, you don't need to be perfect to be present. You just need to let the old audience stop holding the remote.